Maybe he's listening to the 10-4. And good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Up here in Newschopper4 Alpha, it is Eliana Marino along with my pilot, James Pollard, and we are following a group of motorcyclists here on Venice Boulevard. I'll get you the cross here. They may be coming into a local establishment here on the corner of Lincoln and Venice. I see everyone just kind of coming to a stop, so we'll see if they stop here or if they are just making their way here through the parking lot. But this is a group of motorcyclists that are calling for an end to police brutality, and this is all part of a Black Lives Matter protest. It is basically the motorcycle community coming together to show their support for BLM, for Black Lives Matter. And they've actually been riding here through the streets of Venice now for about an hour. And we understand that they're also going to make their way over to the Santa Monica area. So they made their way also through Abbot Kinney. And when we picked them up, they were already on Venice Boulevard. So it looks like they may be coming to a stop here at this restaurant here on the Lincoln and Venice Boulevard intersection. I'll see if I can figure out what business this is. It's a restaurant. I think it's a Deuce is what it says. So probably a local hangout spot here. You look at all the motorcyclists here, though, it looks like we have maybe about 50 motorcyclists participating in this rally and protest, again, trying to show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement. We understand that it all kicked off at the corner of Venice and Lincoln, which is actually where we're at right now. So they may have just made a full circle there. It all kicked off at about 10:15 from my understanding. Yeah, so kicked off at about 10:15. They're calling this a ride to end racism. And they made their way through the streets of both Venice and Santa Monica, making their way through at the Abbot Kinney area, and now finally coming back to a stop here at the same intersection where it all kicked off here at a restaurant here on the corner of Lincoln and Venice. This is a peaceful protest. We understand, though, that at some points while they were on the streets here in the area, it of course was a distraction for some of the motorists, but it's a Sunday morning. Traffic is very light here in the area. And let's see what goes on from here, because it looks like perhaps the bike riders, not the motorcycles, it looks like perhaps the group of bike riders that was right here is going to continue on, but most of the motorcycles are going to stay here at the intersection of Lincoln and Venice. And I'm just going to look at them real quick, see what everyone's doing. It does look like everyone's just taking off all their gear. So that may have been it here for this peaceful protest. A ride to end racism is what this group was calling it. We're not sure if this is perhaps a regular group of motorcycle riders that comes together to ride together every Sunday, or if this was a combination of different riders in the general area that came together for this great cause here on this Sunday morning. Again, they're calling it a ride to end racism. It kicked off right at the intersection that you see here, Venice and Lincoln, just about an hour and a half ago. They rode through Venice, Santa Monica, the Abbot Kinney area, and we know that's definitely an area that they made their way through. But you can see them just kind of talking now after the ride has come to an end here. Again, they were just trying to show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement, riding here through the streets in the area. They actually did not have a police escort during their ride. They were running their own traffic breaks through the area. No incidents to report of, but simply a ride here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon to show their support for an end to racism. Now, that is the very latest from over the Venice Beach area in Newschopper4 Alpha. Along with my pilot, James Pollard, we thank you very much for tuning in. We, of course, will have more on the NBC4 News at 5 o'clock, and we hope to see you then. And hello once again to everyone who is watching us on the live stream. I see we're still streaming, so I'll keep talking. We're leaving the Venice beach area and we're going to head over into downtown LA. We're hearing about some protest activity near City Hall. That, of course, is near the intersection of Spring and First. So we're going to take a look at that, see what's going on. And then from there, we're going to go over to the Convention Center, which is right next to Staples Center. And that's right off the 110 and the 10 freeways, just off of Figueroa. We're going to take a look at some activity there as well. And again, we're just leaving a peaceful protest involving about 50 motorcyclists in the Venice area. They rode through Venice, Santa Monica, and it all ended at the intersection of Lincoln and Venice. Everyone's now just stopping there for a much-deserved lunch break after riding for about 90 minutes. And again, we're now heading to downtown. It'll take us about another 4 minutes to get there. I can show you from a distance as we approach the scene. In Newschopper4 Alpha today, we do have my pilot, Jim Pollard. He says hello to everyone. And every now and then I can see the questions that you guys ask on the stream, just depending on our internet connection. So if you do have any questions, I'll try to get to them when we have some time. But in just a few minutes, again, we're heading over to City Hall in downtown LA, where we understand that there may be some protest activity going on, and we hope to bring you those images as soon as we get there. And the first question is related to my breakfast. We of course will try to keep this news related, but we had a nice healthy breakfast. We're going to be here pretty much all day. We have the NBC4 news at 11 o'clock later tonight, so that's an hour newscast. So that means that we'll get off at about midnight. But before that, we have our 5 o'clock show. We hope you can tune in then. That's only a couple hours away, where you're going to see everything that's been going on today, and as well as everything that happened overnight in our area. And hello to everyone on this stream again. And I should also say that in about an hour, our other helicopter, Newschopper4 Bravo, will also go into service with Gil Lavis on board. I don't know who his pilot is today, but it'll be Gil Lavis and Newschopper4 Bravo. I'm an Alpha today, and we'll divide our resources as much as possible to be able to bring you all of the activity that is going on in our general area today. We know that there's some protests going on in Orange County. We've got some up in Ventura, and of course here in the heart of our viewing area in Los Angeles, we understand that there's also some protests that are going to be going on today. And we do have some questions from you guys. You never get tired of the view. The question is, do you ever get tired of the beautiful view? It's very difficult to get tired of it, especially like after it rains. It's so beautiful up here with all of the clouds, and sometimes you get a rainbow. It's really a great view. And then I think we also had a question about fuel. We can stay flying for about 2.5 hours before we have to go back for fuel, but the refueling process is super quick. It's only about 10 minutes, and we can be right back up. So our fueling station is usually up in the Pacoima area at Whiteman Airport. And for now, though, we're good. We just took off about 15, 20 minutes ago, so we can stay up for a while. 143 gallons of Jet A, to be exact, is what Jim is saying. And we can burn 45 gallons an hour. So that gives us, about 2.5 hours of fuel or so. We can sometimes stretch it up to 3, depending on whether we're in a hover or just flying around. But we're almost here to our destination. I'm zooming in here on City Hall. And I say that I'm zooming in because I am the photographer. And then we're just a 2-person crew, so I'm the photog and reporter. And then Jim is a pilot extraordinaire. So we're just arriving here to City Hall. City Hall is on the east side of all of the big buildings in downtown. And we understand that there may be some protest activity right outside the door, which is what we've seen in days past. So I'm going to zoom in here on an area where I believe it may be going on, and sure enough, there it is, right on the steps of City Hall, just off of Spring, north of First. Again, the steps for LA City Hall. This is where Mayor Garcetti has his office. We don't know if he's here today. He has been working 7 days a week over the last few weeks, starting with the whole coronavirus epidemic. So we don't know if he's here at home or if he's at his home in Hancock Park or perhaps elsewhere today. But you see the crowd that is gathered here just outside the steps of City Hall. And if you pardon me for just a second, I'm going to communicate with our assignment desk. Assignment desk from Alpha, we're on scene. So I'm going to take a peek here at some of the signs so we can figure out which group is out here today. Sometimes it's a mix of groups, sometimes it is one organized group coming together out here to protest on the steps of City Hall. It's difficult to tell. I do see a sign there that says no justice, no peace. So just a mix of signs, it looks like. This group, for the most part, their signs do reference peace. I can see that most of the ones that I can read, at least from our vantage point, do reference that. The group is rather small compared to the size of groups that we've seen over the last few days. This one's probably closer to 50 people, and they're mostly on the steps here of City Hall, not in the middle of the street as we've seen in days past. I do want to point out this one blue umbrella that you see there. Right on the top of there, it does say hunger strike. And we have noticed that this particular individual has been out here for at least the last 3 or 4 days. Now, I don't know if the person leaves and comes back or if they have stayed here permanently, but I have noticed that that person has been out here for the last few days, really just trying to have their voices heard in regards to calling for an end to police brutality, seeking justice in the death of George Floyd. Over the last few days, we've also seen some signs asking for the defunding of the LAPD, as well as asking for the firing of DA Jackie Lacey. But this particular group, as you can see, very peaceful, just chanting, waving their signs. It looks like they don't have any speakers here at the moment, but everyone just kind of focusing their attention towards the west, right there off of Spring Street. I'll give you the wide shot one more time so you can see exactly where this is taking place. Again, right outside of City Hall, just on the west side of the building. And then police headquarters is right here. So let's just take a quick peek outside of headquarters, see if any protesters are out here today. And it looks like we don't have any protesters out here today. We do have a team of officers there of about 6 officers right outside of headquarters, but no protesters outside at this point in the day. Perhaps we'll see more later on today. The day is young. So if you pardon me, I'm going to just communicate with our assignment desk real quick because there was one other area that we needed to check here in the downtown LA area. Assignment desk from Alpha. We got a few minutes of the B-roll here. Would you like us to go look at the convention center now? Yeah, you got it. Here's Grand Park now. Jim, will you give me an orbit of this area here? So just on the, it would be a left hand. Ten, 4. There's a an art demonstration here on the eastern edge of Grand Park. And for everyone still watching us online, we of course thank you for your viewership. We're doing an orbit here of the eastern edge of Grand Park. We understand that there's some sort of art installation likely related to the protests that we've had over the last few days. So we're bringing Newschopper4 Alpha around. We're going to get on the east side of it, and that way we can see what that sign says, see what some of the art demonstrations say as well. So we'll have that here in about a minute. Grand Park is right in front of City Hall. So where the protesters are, that whole stretch of greenery that you see to the west for like several blocks, that's all Grand Park. And the sign says, "What's the kind of justice you want to see?" It says a few other things, but they're difficult for us to read from up here. Oh, you are? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least I got you for a little bit. Perfect. Just two more? Awesome. Okay, that. I'm sure it'll feel like you're on vacation. Let me look at the big picture because all of these are pretty small. I want to make sure we're not missing like something major. Okay, I think that's it. Let me call. Alrighty, Megan, we got the little bit that there was at Grand Park. It's not too much yet. Maybe they'll add more to it later. We'll head to the convention center now. Okay, 10-4. Cool. So we'll do convention center now, Jim. We're just looking for the National Guard, and then we'll head down to Compton. They had been stationed on the west side, the side closest to the 110 freeway. Yeah, we'll see if they're there. I don't really see them from this angle. Okay, there they are. Assignment desk, we're on scene. And so now we've made our way over to the convention center. Again, the convention center is right off the 110 and the 10 freeways. We're looking at members of the National Guard packing up their things. We understand that they will be leaving our area soon. I don't have an exact timetable at this time, but it does definitely look like preparations are underway to pack things up and get out of our general area, or at least change their assignment back to what it was originally. A lot of these National Guard members were actually already here in the LA area helping with COVID relief efforts, and they were reassigned as a result of the protests that we had in our area. Yeah. So our assignment desk is telling us that they are in fact leaving today. So you can see this group of soldiers here. They're packing up some equipment here. So we're going to see this throughout the day. They're going to be packing up their things and clearing out of the convention center area. Okay, so let's see if any other preparations are taking place. Looks like they're getting their vehicles ready. This really is the most movement that we've seen in the last few days, because as we've been flying through the area, we will occasionally just stop and take a look to see what they're doing. And it's been pretty quiet here. Most of them have actually been out in the streets assisting the local law enforcement agencies, helping with protests and roadblocks and things of that nature. So this really is more activity than we've seen here over what we've seen over the last few days. 10-4, we'll head that way. Alrighty, Jim. Can we go to Compton? Okay, 10-4. Yeah, Compton, please. And for those of you who are tuning in on this stream, we are just leaving the convention center where the National Guard is packing up their things. The preliminary information that we got is that they're leaving today. We are working to confirm that, and as soon as we do, we will let you know that information. But that's at least the way things are looking, and the preliminary information that we have is that they're going to be leaving the area soon. Now we're going down to Compton from here. We understand that there is a protest going on in that area. I'm just waiting for an email to come through, and then I'll give you the address where that is taking place, as well as estimated time of arrival. It really shouldn't take us more than like 5 or 6 minutes to get there. Okay, cool. Alrighty. So, Jim, we're going to a big shopping center just off of the 91 freeway, just north of the 91 freeway and off of Alameda. Cool. Yes, sir. So we're gonna go, yeah, we're gonna go past the courthouse. So you can just follow Alameda down if you want. We're looking for that big shopping center right there next to the Crystal Casino, just on the west side of Alameda, north of the 91. There's a big shopping center just on this side of the freeway. Okay, cool. And then there's going to be a group of protesters, and it looks like they're already on the move. They're actually coming at us right now, coming northbound on the street that parallels Alameda just to the west. Yeah, so it's right at our 1 o'clock. It's going through the residential area. Okay, cool. Fix my roll. Assignment desk, Alpha's on scene. And come around. Okay. And for those of you who continue to watch us on the stream, we of course thank you for your viewership. And we are now arriving over Compton. These are going to be the streets of Greenleaf and Tamarind. Tamarind is a residential street here through the area. And it just is actually just on the west side of Alameda. So that's going to be your bigger major. It's going to be Alameda and Greenleaf. This is a peaceful protest that kicked off at the Gateway Town Center just off of the 91 freeway and Alameda. That's that big shopping center with the Best Buy and the Home Depot. And now we have the protesters on the move, though. They're heading northbound on Tamarind. Their final destination will be the Compton Civic Center. They're going to come right to a stop right next to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. monument located at the Civic Center. Compton Mayor Aja Brown is somewhere down there in the crowd. My guess is that she would be somewhere near the front of the line. So let's just move down here. I'm going to move to the front of the group here and see if I can find her down there. So I'm going to zoom in here and maybe we'll notice her down there. But this is, again, a peaceful protest. It just kicked off, literally. 27 minutes ago. It started at 12 o'clock. It is expected to run until 2 o'clock. So if you would like to participate, if you live near the Compton area, I can tell you that we don't have the exact path that they're going to take, but they are starting at the Gateway Town Center and will eventually end up at the Compton Civic Center. Now, it's going to be difficult for you to miss this crowd because it is a very large group. They were expecting anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people, and at this point it looks like they are nearing closer to the 1,000 mark than the 500 because there are a lot of people out here. Most of them are carrying signs. I see some young people out here, including some children. You see that little girl there in the white shirt. You are encouraged to bring a mask, though. If you're going to come out here, come with your mask and just come ready to peacefully protest here through the streets of Compton, calling for an end to police brutality, racism, and seeking justice for the death of George Floyd and also the deaths of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and other young black African American men and women that have died in altercations with police. That is what the people down here are calling for. It is the exact name that they gave it was the Compton Peace Walk. So the organizers of this event are calling it the Compton Peace Walk. Again, it just started 30 minutes ago from the Gateway Town Center and is expected to end over by the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument at the Compton Civic Center. And if you don't know the address for that, I'll give it to you now. It's right off of Compton Boulevard. The exact number is 240 Compton Boulevard. And again, this is a protest that is put on by Compton Mayor Asia Brown, as well as churches here in the area and other community organizations. They're currently marching here through a residential area just off of Tamarind, north of Greenleaf. And there are some road closures in the area. I'll push in on some of those right here. So you'll notice that there are some road closures in the area. So even if you're not here to participate, that is something you'll want to be aware of as you make your way here through the streets of Compton. And then another thing to watch out for is there are some groups that are participating on horseback. I haven't seen any of the horseback riders yet, but that is a group called the Compton Cowboys. And what a lot of people don't know is there's actually a lot of ranch land here in Compton. There's a whole stretch of roadway, and I can't remember exactly what street it is, but it's a east-west street here through the area. And there's a lot of ranches out here, and hence a lot of horses. So there's actually a group out here called the Compton Cowboys that plan on coming out here with their horses. So if you are going to be driving through the area, that is definitely something you're going to want to watch out for as those riders and protesters make their way here through the streets of Compton. So now the front of the group just crossed over a major street here through the area that's going to be a laundra. So you can see what I mean when I say if you're going to travel through the area, expect delays. Everyone who is waiting there at the light now has to wait for the crowd to pass through. Perhaps the sheriff's department that is on scene will run a traffic control at that intersection to allow some cars through and hold the protesters back while they let that traffic through. But again, this group is now north of Alondra on Tamarind, coming up to a smaller street called Cypress. And you can see a lot of people came out here with their signs, and again, if you're planning on participating, you have to come out here with a mask as well. And right there, I'm going to zoom in on that beautiful car there that is part of the march here. I don't see too much in the way of vehicles. We have that one right there, but otherwise, it looks like for the most part, people are walking as part of this march. I don't know the exact distance from here to the Compton Civic Center, but that is located again off of the 200 block of Compton Avenue, and that is where all of this will eventually come to a culmination in about an hour and a half. So this is a march that is expected to last between the hours of 12 and 2 o'clock here through the streets of Compton. I think you'll really get a feel for the size of the crowd with this shot. They stretch for several blocks. Let me see if I can get the end of the line here. Okay, thank you, Jim. So there's the full extent of the crowd there coming in. It probably is about at least half a mile in length, maybe more. Again, they were expecting anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people, but they are definitely closer to 1,000 person mark, because this is quite a turnout here in Compton. A peaceful protest put on by Mayor A.J. Brown that kicked off from the Gateway Town Center. That's that big shopping center right off the 91 freeway and Alondra, and it's going to culminate at the Compton City Hall off of Compton Avenue, the 200 block of Compton Avenue. It's expected to last for about 2 hours total, from 12 to 2, and this group is, of course, chanting a lot of the same things that we've heard over the last few days, calling for an end to police brutality, calling for an end to racism as a whole, asking for justice in the death of George Floyd, who died tragically in that altercation with authorities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But then they're also throwing other names into the mix, other young African-American men and women that I'm sure you've heard about that have also died in altercations with authorities, including Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and it actually looks like the crowd is going to make a turn here. So they are turning now. This is a small residential street called Murr, and it looks like they're making a westbound turn onto Murr Street from Tamarind. So for the most part, the crowd has been in residential areas, which is a little bit different than what we've seen in days past. Most of the protests that we've covered have remained on major streets, not small residential streets like what we see here today. But perhaps by making that westbound turn onto Murr, the crowd of marchers will make their way to a major street here through the area. So we're going to continue to watch them. The first major coming up, I believe, is going to be Willowbrook. That's the street there that you see coming up with the train tracks. So we'll see if they turn onto Willowbrook, either north or south. But they are definitely heading in this direction as they make that turn onto Murr from Tamarind. At Compton? Okay, yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, let me take a quick look. So I am deviating from the protesters here for just a moment. We see that there is a banner tow coming in. So just want to see what the message is. And it looks like it was not related to the protest. It looks like it's a banner tow with another message. So we will stay on the protesters instead. Let me get back on them. They just made that turn there onto Murr. And it looks like they're going to be going westbound, rather northbound on Willowbrook. Northbound Willowbrook from Murr. worries. They're just on the other side of the Compton Courthouse. They're heading northbound, coming at us. And for those of you who are watching us online, this building that you see here is one of the most well-known buildings in Compton. It is the Compton Courthouse. It is the tallest building in the city. So the protesters are just coming up to it now. They're heading northbound on Willowbrook. Again, their final destination is going to be Compton City Hall, and that's just off of Compton Boulevard. And they expect to arrive there in just over an hour, in about an hour and 20 minutes. We're looking at the front of the pack, though. That's where we have that beautiful car there. That's part of the protest that is on the move. And we also understand that there may be some horses that are part of this protest. The Compton Cowboys, a group of horseback riders that lives in this area, they are also participating in the protest. I haven't seen them yet. They might be closer to the end of the line, just to try to keep them away from some of the other protesters, perhaps. So I think they may be at the end of the line because I haven't noticed them yet. But as soon as I do, I will point them out to you. All in all, though, a great group of folks out here really keeping the peace and trying to have their voices be heard. Most of them carrying signs, most of them wearing masks, which is what the organizers asked them to do. Because, again, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so when possible, it's best to wear a mask and keep yourself and others safe. Oh, so they are turning here into the area of the Compton Courthouse. You see that big mural there of former President Barack Obama. They're walking right by it, and we'll see where they end up. There's a big area here, so they likely could fill this all in momentarily. So we'll see where they go. Again, they're just off of Willowbrook and Compton, right outside of the courthouse. Go ahead, Megan. I got your desk. Go ahead. Ten four. We haven't seen them yet, so we'll just fly the line and see if they're at the end. Will ya? If you wouldn't mind, just because we're looking for the horses, and I haven't seen them yet. I would think they would put them at the end just to, you know, so that they wouldn't get spooked by all the people. That they wouldn't get scared by the people. You know, it's a lot of people, so it could be a little overwhelming for the horses. Oh, here they are. Cool. They're towards the end. Perfect. So right about 1 o'clock, Jim. They're going to come out your side right now. And here they are, the Compton Cowboys. Megan, we just located them. Sure enough, they were closer to the end of the line. Wow, really quite a turnout here from the Compton Cowboys. We weren't sure how many of them would be able to make it out here to the protest on this early Sunday morning, but it looks like there's at least 24 horses and their riders, of course, that are participating in this peaceful protest here through the streets of Compton. Currently on a street called Tamarind. This is a residential street here through the area. If you live in this neighborhood, now would be a great time to peek outside because you'll get a glimpse of all of the horses making their way here, making their way through the area. I know I mentioned it when we first arrived, but I'll mention it again. A lot of people are surprised to know that there's actually a lot of ranches out here in Compton, and hence why we have all the horses out here today. From a group called the Compton Cowboys that are participating in today's peaceful protest here through the streets of Compton, starting at the Gateway Town Center and culminating at City Hall, just off of Willowbrook and Compton. But the Compton Cowboys aren't the only group out here today. There's also other community organizations. There's local churches that are out here with their parishioners, just trying to have their voices heard, to try to bring an end to racism, an end to police brutality, and to seek justice in the deaths of young African-American women who have died in altercation with authorities, not only here locally, but just throughout the country, especially that case out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, involving George Floyd. This, of course, an event put on by the city, specifically by Mayor Aja Brown. I know she's down there in the crowd somewhere. Haven't been able to find her yet, but perhaps we'll see her at the end of it all, which will be at City Hall. This rally running until 2 o'clock, so kicking off at noon, running till 2. And I can tell you that some people have actually already arrived at the termination point, which is City Hall, just surrounding the Martin Luther King Jr. monument that is outside of the City Hall doors. So we'll bring you those images here in a little bit. We just want to follow the horses for just a little longer as they make their way here on Murr Street. And then the major that they will come up to is going to be Willowbrook. So once they get to Willowbrook, we will see them hang a southbound turn, is it southbound? No, correction, a northbound turn. They're going to make a northbound turn onto Willowbrook, which is that turn that we see there now. It looks like we do have everyone stopped here for just a moment right at the train tracks. I believe the train is stopped, though. I don't think they're going to let the train through while the protest is going on, but we're about to find out because I see that everyone has kind of come to a stop here. So I'm trying to see if I can see whether or not they stopped the train. I would think they would have, but we're about to find out. Everyone's kind of holding on the other side of the train tracks here, including all of the horses that we were just watching. The train arms are down, so I believe that perhaps the train hasn't been stopped here through the area, and sure enough, it hasn't. So the train coming through here, the Metro Rail, this is the short train, so it should be out of the way here in the matter of seconds. And once it's clear and everything is safe, the protest will be able to continue here on Willowbrook. You'll see them hang that turn and make their way towards City Hall. So we're still waiting on the train there. The train has already passed, but they're just waiting for the train arms to go back up. In the meantime, I will show you the group that is beginning to assemble just around the Martin Luther King Jr. monument here on the corner of Compton and Willowbrook, outside of the Compton Courthouse, as well as outside of the Compton City Hall. With the number of people that are here, I fully expect them to be able to completely surround the monument once everyone arrives at the final destination. And again, this is going to run till about 2 o'clock. So if you live in the area, you still have time to come out here. And I wouldn't try to catch up with the crowd that's on the move, because they'll be here in the next few minutes. But if you'd like to join the final resting stop, you can head over to City Hall at the corner of Compton and Willowbrook and meet up with everyone there. I believe that there's going to be a few speeches once everyone does arrive. But now, finally on the move, the train has finally cleared, the train arms are down, and everyone can get going once again, making that northbound turn onto Willowbrook from Murr. And I believe we're also streaming for our sister station, Telemundo. So if you pardon me, I'm going to just, for about a minute, just explain where we're at and what is going on for our viewers from our sister station, Telemundo 52. And as soon as I'm done, we'll go back to English. So please hold on, continue to watch our images, and we'll be right back in English. Buenas tardes desde el helicóptero. Yo soy Eliana Moreno reportando junto con mi piloto James Pollard sobre la ciudad de Compton, donde tenemos a un grupo de aproximadamente 1000 manifestantes caminando en las calles de Compton. Al momento están caminando hacia el norte en la avenida Willowbrook, yendo en rumba a Compton Boulevard, a la Boulevard Compton, donde mero en la esquina de esas calles, en esa intersección, se encuentra el ayuntamiento de la ciudad, y allí es donde será el punto final para esta protesta, que empezó aproximadamente hace una hora alrededor de las 12. En el Gateway Town Center, localizado justo al norte de la autopista 91 y cerca de la salida a Alameda. El grupo de manifestantes también incluye a los vaqueros de Cowboy. Ven ahí los caballos que son parte de esta protesta. Aproximadamente 2 docenas de caballos vienen también junto con los manifestantes. Esta es una protesta pacífica que, les repito, empezó aproximadamente hace una hora y terminará en una hora más, alrededor de las 2 de la tarde, justo afuera del ayuntamiento de la ciudad de Compton. El alcalde de la ciudad de Compton también está como parte de la protesta. Creo que está ahí abajo caminando con los manifestantes, si es que ya no ha llegado justo afuera del ayuntamiento. Déjenme les muestro. Este es el ayuntamiento de la ciudad de Compton, y aquí es donde vemos que ya cientos de personas ya han llegado al final de la protesta, pero todavía faltan como posiblemente 500 personas más que faltan al llegar para que la parte de donde están caminando, por lo menos esa parte va a llegar a su fin. Y por ahora no hay mucho tráfico en el área, pero claro, a causa de los manifestantes que están caminando en las calles de Compton, eso sí está causando demoras en el área. Entonces, si usted planea manejar en el área de las calles de Compton, sepan que sí hay demoras a causa de esta protesta, que, como les digo, continuará por aproximadamente una hora más. Es un grupo de manifestantes pacíficos de aproximadamente 1000 personas que están aquí pidiendo el fin a la brutalidad policial y pidiendo justicia en la muerte de George Floyd. Nosotros seguiremos sobre la escena, sobre la ciudad de Compton, pero por ahora vamos a regresar con nuestra cobertura en inglés, pero claro, les seguiremos trayendo estas imágenes desde Compton. Reportando desde el helicóptero, yo soy Elian Moreno, Telemundo 52. And thank you to everyone who's continuing to watch us here online. Back in English, we just had to say a few words in Spanish for our sister station Telemundo and all of our viewers there so that everyone is aware of what is going on, some of the traffic delays in the area, and where the protesters are moving through. I can tell you that we're down to about half, so we've got just about half of the people that were participating that are now still trying to make their way here through the streets of Compton. Most of the protesters are now on Willowbrook, though. I think everyone already completed that turn there from Murr. Almost everyone. I think we have a few horses there at the tail end. So as soon as they make that turn onto Willowbrook, that's going to be it for the actual march portion of this protest, and about the other half of people are already at the final destination point here, just outside of the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument, just outside of City Hall, between City Hall and the Compton Courthouse. If you're not too familiar with where that is, the Compton Courthouse, again, is the tallest building in Compton. I'm sure you've seen it if you live in the area. So that's where everything is coming to a stop here at the intersection of Compton and Willowbrook. Again, if you'd like to participate, please bring a mask. That is what the organizers are asking. And most people out here are bringing signs, but of course that's not required. And I wouldn't try to join up with the group that's on the move because, again, they're going to be here in the next few minutes, so you would miss them. But if you'd like to come to the termination point, that again is going to be right at the intersection of Compton and Willowbrook, and they are expected to be out here for at least another hour. You can orbit him if you'd like. If you'd like. Okay. And Bravo should just be clocking in. It's 1 o'clock. Okay, go for it. I think it's gonna make a really cool shot once everyone fills in. If they surround the monument, that'll be really neat to look at. That would make it pretty visual, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that when we were at Whiteman, like the palm trees were swaying. for everyone who has been tuning in as we followed the protesters from Compton. But as you can tell from our shot, we're actually leaving. We're going to need to get some fuel here soon. But before we head back to our home airport at Whiteman Airport in Pacoima, that's in the northern San Fernando Valley, for those of you who aren't too familiar with the area. Before we do that, we're going to follow the beaches here for a little bit. We just want to see what the activity looks like on the beaches. We know that yesterday there were some, or not yesterday, but the day before, there were some protests that were taking place actually on the beach near Venice Beach in Santa Monica. We don't know if there's any protests out there today just yet, but it's a beautiful, sunny day here in Southern California, so we do expect to see a lot of people. But again, we're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic, so hopefully, even though we think we're going to see a lot of people, we're going to see a lot of people also socially distancing. So we will be there in a matter of about 4 minutes or so. We do have to fly by LAX though, which means we're going to have to fly really low over the water as we transition through there. They're basically forcing us to do that because the aircraft, all of the planes that come out of LAX fly right over where we're going to be flying. So for that reason, we have to be real low. So we call that our Shoreline Transition shot. So we're going to start just south of LAX. We'll fly by LAX, and then we're going to cruise along the beaches just north of there. So that would be like Venice Beach, Santa Monica. I don't know if we're going to make it as far as like Will Rogers, but we'll definitely hit the Venice and Santa Monica area before continuing home. So that's coming up here in the next few minutes. And now I'm just going to quickly explain for our viewers from our sister station Telemundo what we are up to, and we'll be right back in English. Buenas tardes desde el helicóptero. Yo soy Eliana Moreno, volando junto con mi piloto, James Pollard. Nos acabamos de ir de la protesta que está ocurriendo en la ciudad de Compton, cerca de la intersección de las calles Compton y Willowbrook, pero la protesta continúa por lo menos por los próximos 40 minutos. Se planea que se acabará alrededor de las 2 de la tarde, pero estamos necesitando ponerle gasolina al helicóptero. Entonces vamos a regresar a nuestro aeropuerto, Whiteman Airport en Pacoima, pero antes de regresar a casa vamos a volar sobre la playa. Vamos a empezar en el área de Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, y vamos a volar hacia el norte. Vamos a pasar sobre el aeropuerto del condado de Los Ángeles, LAX, y de ahí vamos a continuar hacia el norte, hacia Venice y Santa Monica. Es un día caliente aquí en el sur de California, entonces esperamos que vamos a ver a mucha gente en la playa, pero también esperamos que vamos a ver mucha gente manteniendo una distancia social. Claro, porque estamos todavía con el problema del coronavirus, pero todo eso lo vamos a ver ahorita en los próximos 2 minutos. Apenas estamos llegando aquí a Manhattan Beach. And thank you to everyone who's, again, tuning in English. We just had to say a few words there for our sister station, Telemundo. We're just arriving over Manhattan Beach, so that's where we're going to start our trek here. And then Manhattan or Redondo, don't want to get that wrong. I think it's actually Redondo. Sorry about that. No, it is Manhattan Beach. I'm sorry. A little turned around there. So yeah, we're starting in Manhattan Beach, and then from here, we're going to head north. So we're going to pass by LAX and then eventually end up in the Venice Beach, Santa Monica area. But here you go, starting off in Manhattan Beach. Lots of people out here, and hopefully we're going to see lots of social distancing, but all coming up here in the next few minutes. Simon. Beach, and then coming up to El Porto next. So this is still Manhattan. And there's a chance you could lose us because sometimes when we're this low over the water, the signal will drop. And if that happens, I'll just feed it back to you once we're in a better spot. Really? Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh, I'm sure they were sad. Okay, and this is going to be El Porto. And then next beach coming up will be Dockweiler. Megan, this is Dockweiler Beach. You might want to tag this one. It looks really busy. Dockweiler Beach, everyone. Yeah. Assignment desk, Playa del Rey. Playa del Rey. Megan, are you good with this much, or did you want us to keep going up towards Santa Monica? Okay, perfect. Then we'll head on home. Jim, you can cut over from here. We can go home from here. Yeah, we don't have to follow it all the way up. And then here is beautiful Marina del Rey. Oh, nothing. I'm just speaking to the people who are watching us. Okay, yeah, sounds good. And I see, cool, I see we're still streaming. I can't read all of your comments, everyone, because of the connection. It's not too great, but I can tell we're streaming. So I'm gonna keep talking as we go along here. This is gonna be Marina del Rey. Our assignment here at the beach is done. It's busy out there, folks. It's busy, but it's a beautiful day here in Southern California, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. I did see there's some people socially distancing, which is what you want to do. You're free to come enjoy the beach. Now everything is open, but again, you want to maintain that social distance if possible. We're now heading back into the San Fernando Valley from here. We're hearing about a possible protest in the North Hollywood area. So we're going to take a quick little peek at that, and then once we do that, then we'll go in for fuel at Wyman Airport. Let me ask, Megan. Hey, Jim, how much time do we have before we have to land? About 40. We have about 40 minutes, that's 40, before we have to be on the ground. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if we're heading out to Ventura, we would definitely need to get fuel beforehand. So we'll do North Hollywood and then land, and we'll go from there. We're gonna go to North Hollywood, just off the 170 freeway and Magnolia. So that's north of the 134 by about 2 exits. There's a big park there just on the east side of the 170. We're going to that park. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I do know that part, and I do know the name, but let's see. Like the actual name. I think it's the North Hollywood Recreation Center. So no, the park you're referring to is actually here in the West Hollywood area? Yeah, it's that one's in West Hollywood. When they tag you? Assignment desk from Alpha, we're on scene. Oh, yeah. Because they were related. About him reaching out or his response to him? Okay. Yeah, no worries. And once again, thank you to everyone who is watching us online. We thank you for streaming with us. We're just over North Hollywood. This is Magnolia and Tahunga Avenue. And this is in the North Hollywood area at the North Hollywood Recreational Park. It's that big park that you see off the 170 freeway as you're heading northbound on the 170 near the Magnolia Avenue exit, Magnolia Boulevard exit actually. And this is that park with that iconic Amelia Earhart statue there in the corner. You see it there. I'm zooming in on it now. There is a small protest going on here today. I would venture to say this is maybe about 50 people or so. This is, we see some Black Lives Matter signs down there, but we don't know that this is necessarily a BML sanctioned protest. But you can see that it is a very peaceful protest here at the park. They're just off the street here, so just off of Magnolia and Tahunga. You can see that everyone is kind of zeroing in on the speaker who is in the center of the crowd. We, of course, can't hear the speeches since we're all the way up in the chopper, but we can at least interpret what is going on. So you see the person there in the center of the circle giving what looks like a very passionate speech. Everyone really very attentive, focusing in on that man as he reads his speech. And you see most people out here, yep, there we go. The speech is just coming to an end there, everyone clapping. And it looks like most people do have a sign out here with their chosen message. We do see a lot of references to Black Lives Matter. And then I believe I saw one that referred to justice and seeking justice, which is really what all of this has been about over the last week. Is individuals coming together to ask for justice in the death of George Floyd, as well as to seek justice in the deaths of other young African American men and women that have died in altercations with authorities. And then on top of it all, this has now transitioned into a call to reform the police department. So in some cases, the protesters are asking for the complete defunding of the local police departments, specifically the LAPD. We're currently in North Hollywood, so this is LAPD Division, North Hollywood Division of the LAPD to be exact. We've also seen calls over the last few days to fire DA Jackie Lacey or to have her replaced, and as she is up for re-election, if I'm not mistaken, later in the year. But it's even though the messages haven't been just one message. There's been a number of different messages. It really has all been about peace. We have seen that all of the protests that we've covered here today. We went down to Compton. We went down to the LA City Hall, and then now finally here in North Hollywood. All of the protests that we have been at today have all been very peaceful. Really, no police presence at any of them. There was a little bit of a police presence at the Compton protest. We had the sheriff's department down there, but they were mostly just assisting with traffic control. We saw a point where the train was passing through, and the deputies made sure that the protesters stayed behind the lines as the train was coming through the area. So for the most part, they've just been assisting with traffic control efforts. And then in terms of the National Guard, because I'm sure you saw that the Okay, 10-4, Megan. And I'm actually just getting a message there from Megan over at our assignment desk. We have been cleared to return to base. So our home airport is just a few miles away in Pacoima. So we're going to leave you with these images here in North Hollywood. Again, this is going to be Tahunga and Magnolia, where this small protest is taking place. And we're going to head on down back towards home. NOC from Alpha, we're landing. Thank you.
Copy, Megan. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the web. This is Gil Levis in Newschopper4 Bravo, along with my pilot, Chris Sanders. We are over Huntington Beach. This is another protest here today. It is the Huntington Beach Community Alliance comes together for racial injustice in Huntington Beach. This all started around noon today. It is a group of about maybe, it's a little hard to say, but maybe about 100 to 200 people that are gathering here at the mouth of the pier along Pacific Coast Highway and Main Street. Several others on each corner here at this T intersection. We did notice a small group at the Civic Center just up the street. As part of this group, they were planning to march, and I'm not sure if they've already marched or they're going to continue to march back and forth from the pier to the Civic Center. There is a small group over there in front of police headquarters. It is a very busy day here in Huntington Beach, not only for the protesters, but for people coming to the beach to enjoy the sand and the water. I'll show you that real quick. So you see the pier is back open, and people on the sand and in the water enjoying that, as it's a nice sunny day here in Orange County. There was a protest rally here yesterday when we arrived on scene in the afternoon. It was a different scene here. The police had shut down the Pacific Coast Highway in both directions. But today we're not seeing a big presence. A few Huntington Beach cruisers going by right now, but other than that, not a lot of police on the ground that we're seeing in the immediate area. Businesses, as you see, are back open. There's vendors and restaurants and bars in the area that are open. And a very popular Main Street walk. Here is definitely a lot of people out and about. And they're waving at us. Hello, holding up their signs. Hello, everybody. Okay. No, it's great. Yeah, I noticed we drifted a little bit, but we're good. If you're more comfortable with orbits, I'm good with that. We are into PV. You can do wide orbits if you want, like half over the water and half over the land. Because it looks like the majority of the group is now on the pure side. Little high fives going on from people driving by. Protesters here are very orderly and calm. It is now majority of the protesters here on the beach side of PCH, right at the mouth of the Huntington Beach Pier, which is open. If you're just joining us on the web, thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is Gil Davis in Newschopper4 Bravo, along with my pilot, Chris Sanders. We are over Huntington Beach for a protest that is happening here. It started at noon. It's a group of about 100 to 150 people that have gathered here at the mouth of the pier. This is along Pacific Coast Highway and Main Street in Huntington Beach. The group has planned on marching to the Civic Center. They may have already done so. We did notice a small group that was still gathering at the Huntington Beach Civic Center on Main Street, a ways from here, about a mile, I would say, away. This is the Huntington Beach Community Alliance Comes Together for Racial Injustice in Huntington Beach demonstration. We had a nice acknowledgement by the protesters as they all turned in unison and showed us their signs just a little while ago. We're seeing a very orderly, a peaceful protest here along Pacific Coast Highway. We saw just moments ago a car come by and give the protesters a high five. Yesterday there was a protest here as well, and the streets were blocked. Pacific Coast Highway was closed down for a good distance between Beach Boulevard and almost Golden West. But today it's open, traffic is moving freely in all directions. Main Street is open, and a lot of people on the shoreline and on the pier, in the water, enjoying the day. Businesses are open along Main Street and in the area. Police presence is at a minimum right now, where there is the Huntington Beach police helicopter that's orbiting not only the protesters, you see the shadow cutting through there, but the people along the beach. They patrol the shoreline and assist on rescues when need be. Here's a look at the Main Street, right at Pacific Coast Highway, and a lot of the shops and businesses, restaurants are open. You got that guy? Yeah, okay. You're looking at a group of protesters that are calling themselves the Huntington Beach Community Alliance Comes Together for Racial Injustice in Huntington Beach. It's a protest that was organized to start at noon today and to march to the Civic Center right up the street, about a mile away. There is a smaller group that's remained there. We have yet to see this group march from this position. We've been here about 20 minutes or so. This is at Pacific Coast Highway and Main Street. A couple more protesters joining the group, about 150. There's one down low, Chris. He just crossed. You see him? He's in an orbit. He's in a left turn. He's right down there with the PD. Wow. Talking with my pilot there, Chris Sanders, we had a small helicopter come in at or below the level that the Huntington Beach police helicopter was flying, and normally it's not so busy, but we're always having to keep our eyes open for traffic in the air, which does happen at times. As we look at the group there at the mouth of the pier, I'm going to swing the camera around in a second and show you the Civic Center. It's kind of a sweeping move here, so I apologize for the motion, but that's Main Street right in the center of the screen. If we follow that up. Pointing behind us right now and moving to our about 4 o'clock. That's the Civic Center there. Across the street is Huntington Beach High School. It's unclear if the group has marched there already. We do see a few people out and about around the Civic Center. We did see a small group there. They may have already made their way. It's okay. They may have already made their way around and down to the pier. We did see the group. Seems like it grew a little bit in the last 20 minutes. Okay, thank you, Megan, will do. And there they are, so. Okay, sounds good. We'll head back to base, thank you. We're gonna wrap up our coverage here at the Huntington Beach protest. We'll be back over in the air at 5 p.m. for the NBC4 News at 5 o'clock. Please join us then and check us out on the web as well. This is Gil Levis signing off.